Welcome to the Over the Barricade podcast, where two wayward wrestling fans rediscover their lost passion for professional wrestling through the revolution that is AEW. Each week, we will take you on an in-depth review of the events of Dynamite and Rampage, as well as provide to you our pick of the week and thoughts for the future development and growth of AEW. Here are your hosts, Quidman Jenkins and Pacific 414. Welcome to yet another week, another episode of Over the Barricade. As you say in the intro, I'm Quidman Jenkins.
And I'm Pacific 414.
There he is.
That's how this week's AEW was.
Yeah, I'm actually getting a little bit of...
It wasn't much there.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't, unfortunately. I said it last week, everybody. I said it. It's called the 50 Cent effect. You put all your great things in one show, one bundle, whatever your format is, and then the next week suffers. It happens. It happens. I said it. You don't need both those matches on the same show.
He did. If you don't believe him, check last week's episode. There's the receipt.
That's it. It's up there. And furthermore, on top of that, not only did you have those two matches on one, great show, and you had a good solid Rampage too, but you also had Battle of the Belts as well, which I was there live and in person, for those of you that don't know. And that was a solid show. It was an hour of some decent matches. It was one match that was not really worth it. I think that they could have, honestly, I really feel like they should have ditched the FTW title match and gave...
What was I saying?
Yeah, it was really not necessary at all, unfortunately. But, and I don't know how it looked on TV. I haven't actually rewatched it yet, the broadcast, but I'm here to tell you, the crowd was dead.
Okay, as someone who watched the event from home, the crowd wasn't coming through at all, in my humble opinion. The crowd was pretty much like, okay, let's get on to the important matches here.
Yeah.
Forget about this match. This match could have been a dark match.
Well, and there were plenty of those, and honestly, you'd be hard-pressed to know that one wasn't a dark match. It was a really dead match. I'm going to be real with you guys. It was a really dead match. And it's funny because it's not that nobody cared for Ricky, because the place went off for Ricky when he made his entrance. Everybody loved it. And then the match just wasn't good. It was not a good match. It wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't good. And it certainly wasn't getting the crowd into it. I think... Go ahead.
It was a match where I could have just skipped that whole match and watched the remaining two that were on the card.
I agree. Honestly, I really feel like they should have just split the time in half from that match and given a half to Dustin, Sammy, and a half to Britt, Riho. Because both of those matches were great. Both were great. I might give a little bit of a nudge to Dustin, Sammy, honestly. That was a freaking awesome match to be live for.
I know I sound like a Dustin Reynolds mark, a Dustin Rhodes mark, but the guy can still go in the ring.
Oh,
that match against a younger guy, he can still go.
Absolutely, he can. And here's the reality: the fact is that man right now is in the prime of his career. That's a fact. That's just what that fact is. Hang on one second. That's gonna come through. Yeah, like that's just what that's what it is. That is a fact of life.
I was disappointed that they gave the title back to Sammy, even if it is on a quote-unquote intern basis, because I wanted to see Dustin have one more title run. I didn't care if it was a world title or a mid-card title. I wanted to see him with a title run. Sorry, I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. I really would have liked to have seen him, because I made the statement. I was like, you know what? I think that what we should do is, I think we should have it be Dustin wins the title, And then we end up getting a brother versus brother match for the TNT title. You have Cody come back and be all arrogant, thinking like, okay, well, you're just going to hand the title over to me, right, brother? And then Dustin's like, no, this is my run. This is the run that I've been waiting for since I came to AEW. I'm not going to just give it up. This is mine. You're not just getting this from me. So that was the only downside to that match for me.
I mean, it could have been a thing where Cody comes back and he says to Dustin, "What are you doing, bro? Are you trying to take my spotlight while I'm out with an injury? This is my show. These are my people. Give him even more heel heat than he already has from the fans."
That's exactly what I'm saying, man. I think it would have been the better route than to just have no personality Sammy Guevara come back and do this open challenge again for a couple weeks. It's just I don't care for it personally. Again, I think he's got great in-ring ability. I think he can be something, but until he finds who he is, he's not going to do it. And speaking of somebody who needs to find out who they are, and speaking of the live crowd in Charlotte for Battle of the Belts, Daniel Garcia, you, sir, are going to be something, okay? That much is not disputable. That much is a fact. You will be something on the condition that you learn who you are. You need to find out who Daniel Garcia is. You need to establish an identity. And most importantly, you need to do something that makes you look different from some dude in the crowd. Let me explain something to you. We had no idea who he was when he ran in on Sammy. When he ran in on Sammy, my entire section had no idea who that was. There was no way of knowing, oh, that's Daniel Garcia. There were several people who thought it was a fan at first. That can't be.
Problem right there is because he doesn't have an identity that makes him stand out from everyone else.
Exactly. And then go ahead.
We've discussed it here before on the podcast where they have a lot of people on their roster, but a lot of the people don't have an identity. They don't have a character.
Yep.
That's one thing that WWE was great at, was developing different characters, whether you liked them or not, whether they're on TV.
I was just about to say whether the character was, preferable or not, you could argue, but they had a character. You saw that person and you knew that is who that is. This is what their character is. This is their finishing move. Everything. They established that.
And even before they would debut, you would get the vignettes telling you a little bit about their character.
Yep.
Now, I haven't watched WWE for quite some time, not since 2014. So I don't know if they still do vignettes before somebody debuts or if they just pretty much stay at the announcer table, oh yeah, there's this new guy coming, or they just show up on TV one day and there they are. I don't know if Vince still goes that way.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but what I agree with you. You had the vignettes, you had everything that would come ahead of time to make sure that you knew who this character was. It did the groundwork so that they had less to do when they actually debuted the character. They could then focus on the matches and the storylines of the rivalries rather than laying the groundwork for the actual character, because it's already been done. You already know who he is. Like, I think one of the greatest success stories in modern wrestling, and when I say modern wrestling, I'm being loose with that term because I'm old now, but I'm going to say Carlito.
Oh, yes. I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. Those few lines right there told you what the character was about.
Mm-hmm. Carlito, that was the man. And right from the first vignette, you knew you fucking hated him.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Carlito Caribbean Cool. Just in case anybody wants to know his full name.
I was about to say, you gotta do the whole thing. And then, of course, he comes in and wins over John Cena for the U.S. title in his first match. which some could argue was the right move or not. But I think it was a great way to debut him with some heat.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I think in the long run they did drop the ball with them, but it was not his fault. It was WWE's creative direction. But they gave him the best start. You had the perfect vignettes. You came in against the guy who was still John Cena was still loved at that time. People got to understand is that this was before
Yeah.
the Cena sucks. This is when everybody loved John Cena. Like that's
Yeah. The
just
Doctor of Thugonomics.
exactly everyone loved him at that period, especially me. Um, I'm
Well,
telling you, John
if
Cena
you
was my
loved him then,
hero.
you probably won't love him in Peacemaker. I've watched one episode and oh
I
gosh.
was going to
You're
ask
right,
you about
John.
that.
You can't see me. That's right. You can't see me because I can't see me really continuing with this show past its third episode.
Oof. Jeez. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I got to be honest with you. I actually didn't care for the new Suicide Squad movie. Um,
Okay.
I didn't care for it. I liked the first one better, which I know
All right.
is a hot take and it's something that a lot of people would disagree with, but yeah, honestly, this one tried too hard. It just in every waking moment of the newer one, I could tell that they were just trying incredibly hard to be edgy, to be gory and violent, and it's just like, okay, you're not so much worried about telling a story as you are just being edgy. And anything anything for the sake of itself to me is a turnoff. I don't like like political messages for the sake of it. I don't like, any kind of tones just simply for the sake of it when it adds nothing to
Mm-hmm.
the story. Now, if you wanted to tell me, like, if you wanted to insert like a really graphic, violent scene, and the point of this is to tell me why a character is so upset because that's the extent that they did to like their family member or something, like that's one thing. That's one thing it adds to the story, but it was just literally every scene was just over the top, unnecessary gore, and it honestly just detracted from the movie for me.
As I said in my review on my channel, it's a movie where you had to turn your brain off in order to get some enjoyment out of it. Otherwise, if you've kept your brain on and kept overthinking everything, you would just go, "All right, enough." It's all going back to Peacemaker.
Yeah,
I have two more episodes to watch. I get to the third episode, I'm out because I can already tell you after the first episode, I'm thinking, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to sit through 2 more hours of this?
yeah, no, I don't
John,
blame you.
the STFU, yeah, that's what I'm putting on you because this show needs to STFU.
He just doesn't have the same charisma that The Rock has. Not
No.
everybody can convert, and he to me is just too stoic and bland.
Mm-hmm.
As a person, as a human, he that's just who he is. My wife and I tried watching the new Wipeout last night, which I'm not sure if you're aware, he is a co-host
Uh,
on.
I, I have seen the advertisements for Wipeout while watching AEW, but I'm going, John, and maybe this is where it all boils down to. I've never been a big fan of John Cena.
Well, let me ease your weary head here. I was a mega fan of John Cena as a kid. I was the perfect age in that time period to idolize John Cena. And I liked him for a long time. It took a lot longer for me to turn and start doing the Cena sucks than it did for most people. I'll be honest with you. Um, but that was my hero as a child. John
Hmm.
Cena was my hero. And I have no shame admitting that. It was a different time. But
You shouldn't.
um it's just bad. It's bad. And we tried watching Wipeout and it was just so bad.
It looks cringe.
It's not Wipeout anymore. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was literally hardly any focus on them running the actual course, and it just was really bad. We turned it off after like 10 minutes, and that was me being generous. It was rough. John, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to stop. You're not The Rock, okay? Even The Rock, but and to be clear, even The Rock has some misses, okay? Because like I thought, like
Oh yeah.
I don't know how it's so popular, but Red Notice is just like hot fiery garbage in my opinion.
I haven't seen it because of what I've heard about it.
Dude, it is bad. It is is bad. Like, I was so excited for it because I'm like, oh, this is getting a lot of attention. This is really popular. It's got The Rock, it's got Ryan Reynolds, it's got Gal. Like, I'm going to check it out. And oh my gosh, same thing. We made it like 10, 15 minutes in and we were like, this is awful.
Well, maybe it's just me too on this, but Ryan Reynolds' shtick it's gotten old.
It has. It has. Well, because the thing is, The Rock has his generic character that he plays, but he switches it up every couple movies. He switches it up and he's stayed fresh. But Ryan just does the exact same thing. And sometimes he has a filter like Deadpool. And when he has a filter like Deadpool to kind of like exaggerate it a little bit more and like do other things and have a personality, then it's a little bit different. But in this movie, it was just raw Ryan Reynolds just doing Ryan Reynolds for the sake of Ryan Reynolds.
That's not good.
No. But I tell you what was also not good was or you know what? No. I'll tell you what was good. What was really good was the debut of Brody King this week.
Yeah, that was great.
That was really good. I'm loving it. And we're getting a little bit out of Pac too. Like, what's he got going through his head? Is he going to be in the House of Black as well? Makes you wonder.
I'd like to see it happen, to be perfectly honest. I would think he would be a great fit.
I think so. I think he would, honestly. So I'm really excited to see where they go with that. But yeah, I really liked the Brody King debut. I think that was like they didn't rush it as they often do. And they let it take time. They waited, and I just think that they timed it just right. I'm pulling my notes up here. And let's go over the Wardlow match with CM Punk as well. I'd like to cover that.
Yeah, because there's a finish there that was very similar to another finish.
That's true.
If you know what I mean.
Yep, the roll-ups are rearing their ugly head again.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not even my biggest problem with this. So, in the end, the commentator made a comment. Imagine that. And what he said was, let me just check on something real quick. Hang on a second. Okay, yeah, I'm good. What the commentator had said was, MJF is so afraid of facing Punk that he cost Wardlow the biggest match of his career. What he should have said was, AEW is so afraid of a disqualification finish that they completely screwed up the finish to a match where Wardlow should have gotten disqualified. You made Wardlow look bad for nothing. Made him look bad for nothing.
And I realize that AEW's afraid. They are afraid to do DQ finishes. But I think it's time to start putting DQ finishes in there.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to hurt your talent like they hurt Wardlow this past Wednesday on Dynamite.
Right. No, they completely ruined it because he spent that match. I mean, he looked good in that match. You made him look like a superstar. You made him look like he was the next big thing. For the duration of that match, I was like, wow, Wardlow is going to the moon. This is a thing. He looked fantastic. He put CM Punk on the ground. But then, in the same match, you turn around and have him get rolled up by this guy that 2 seconds ago didn't have the strength to get to his feet. Now you want me to believe that he had the strength to hold on to a roll-up while you were squirming and trying to break out? What?
I didn't buy it.
I'm
sorry. I didn't buy it.
How weak do you have to be to get rolled up by a man who didn't even have the strength to stand? How weak do you have to be? Is my question. So I don't like the finish.
No, I don't like it either. That's why there should have been a DQ finish. It wouldn't have hurt the storyline with MJF.
It would have been the right finish.
Punk would have entered that match with one DQ match, and he and MJF could still put on a great match. And it just, Quid Man, it makes me skeptical about what's going to happen when CM Punk and MJF face off.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be a one-sided match.
What should have happened here is you should have had and I thought it was about to happen. I was ready for it. I thought it was about to happen. There was a moment where CM Punk was on the apron and Wardlow was still in the ring. And MJF was
Mm-hmm.
walking around. What should have happened is MJF thinks that the ref's not looking and goes to hit Punk. The ref sees it and disqualifies Wardlow. So CM Punk still stays undefeated, but Wardlow doesn't actually lose. It would have been the perfect way to do it. Nobody looks bad. Nobody looks bad. CM Punk is fine because you're building Wardlow to be a beast. So CM Punk's still fine.
And that's why I made that gesture. It's MJF pulling the rug out from under CM Punk, making him, self look good, but also making CM Punk look bad. But it's a consistent problem with AEW. Just when you think they're, going in the right direction with their storylines, then the following week they go off the beaten path and we get what we get.
I agree. And another thing I have a problem with, and this is something that you have certainly been no stranger to commenting on, is so here's my issue with picture in picture. It's not even just about being able to watch the matches, but it makes it really hard to take a bathroom break. It makes it really, really hard to take a bathroom break because it's like all your commercials are in the middle of a match. And then you have, these long drawn out periods where you have no true commercial breaks. And like, I'm over here drinking. I gotta pee. Like, I gotta go. This is happening. So I don't really like that. I like being able to step away to the bathroom because, obviously I don't want to miss anything important happening. So yeah.
Well, just like last week, they had picture in picture, and then shortly after going picture in picture, they go on to a full on commercial. What the hell, AEW?
Yeah, just take the commercial.
What the hell, TBS? Come on.
Just take the commercial. Yeah, no, I agree. And so that's definitely given me some issues now lately. I've been dealing with it, honestly. I don't like the idea of picture in picture during matches. I can let it slide. I can let it slide as long as it's not during the main event. I think that the main event should be uninterrupted. Or if it is interrupted, it should just be one at the very beginning, and then the rest should be without commercials. But that's just my opinion. And let's see here. What else we got here? Rampage was all right. It wasn't special. It wasn't special to me. It was okay. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit. You know what? We'll talk a little bit more about Rampage here in a little bit because for obvious reasons to you and me, not so obvious to the audience. Yeah. But I do want to talk about that. We'll talk about that in the main event. Why are we still doing Sheeta versus Deeb?
It needs to end. Their big problem was that layoff that they did between the two of them, and then only to pick it back up. No, that's not how you do a feud. No. You keep it going until you reach the end point. AEW, get it through your thick skull. We don't want short feuds. We don't want feuds that start and then stop and then never pick up again. And we don't want feuds that start, stop, and then when they pick up, all that momentum that you previously had is no longer there.
Yeah, I don't like what AEW's definition of long-term storytelling is. Long-term storytelling is you have, you start a program at the beginning of the month, and then they have a match at the end of the month at the big pay-per-view or big special, whatever you want to call it, depending on what promotion you're in. Well, that match doesn't go down properly. Something happens. Something screwy happens. Or maybe somebody just wants another shot. Whatever it be, you don't have it in there. Then you have another match. And at that one, depending on how long you want this feud to go for, so now you've got a 2-month feud, because you've built it, you've continuously built it. And then, you can have the other person win, and now we have a tie. You can have them still get screwed over, and now they're still vying for vengeance. Or if you go to the tie route, then the third month, maybe you bring their friends in, and they have a tag match or something like that. Or maybe they both get involved into a title picture, and you have a triple threat match, like there's ways to make this work with long-term storytelling. AEW is just not doing it.
Even if they don't have matches, have them have backstage segments.
Mm-hmm.
At least let the audience know that this storyline is continuing. I mean, heck, poor Eddie Kingston. Look at the storylines he's been put in and then taken out of.
The guy is doing everything he can to make the most of everything he's in, and it's not easy to do for him because they keep throwing him around. And some of the stuff they throw, I am so ready for this whole 2.0 Kingston and whatever. I don't even know what's going on at this point. I guess they're transitioning it into Kingston versus Jericho, which I I don't know. I don't know.
I don't want to see it.
I'm not really here for it. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll give it a fair shot, but I just don't really like the way that they've transitioned it. It just doesn't. It feels really forced to me.
I was gonna say it's not organic.
No, not at all. Let's see here, and also the Sammy Guevara finish looked really rough. I don't remember exactly, but I did have a note here that the finish looked rough. I think he just like didn't hit all the move or something. But because
he botched it.
Yeah, that was a pretty decent match. That was a pretty decent match. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know about if it was main event quality, but it was a pretty decent match. Well, anyway, with that, let's go ahead and because there's a few more things from the week that we're going to touch on, but we're going to touch on those things in different segments. We don't want to use it all up in here and then don't have anything to talk about later. So, What would you grade this week's show?
I'm gonna give it a C-.
That's actually better than what I thought you were going to give it. So, yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Let me write that down. Where are you? There you are. Let's see. What's today's date? 15th.
Today is the 15th.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a solid C. Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna give it a solid C because when it was good, it was good. Not great, not great, but it was good. And when it was bad, it wasn't terrible. So I'm gonna give it a solid C. It was very average. I think this is the definition. This should be your definition, your benchmark for your average show. Because it was borderline on. I kind of would rather just go to sleep.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Cause like we're old, we're grown ups, we're tired, especially on a Friday at 10 o'clock. I'm tired.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we're just.
I don't have the stamina I used to have 20 years ago.
No, neither do I, man. Neither do I. But yeah, man, it's just I was borderline falling asleep at a few points, but I didn't. It's the difference maker. I didn't.
I was like this last night most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at my phone a few points throughout too, and just honestly, especially for that trios match, that was just not entertaining at all.
No.
I didn't ask to see that. I didn't need to see that. I could have lived without seeing that. Honestly, the whole thing. I'm not really buying the whole Layla Hirsch, Chris Statlander feud.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything for me. I don't care enough. I love me some Chris Statlander. I think
she's great in the ring.
I think she could eventually potentially be the one to dethrone Britt Baker. Just because she's an AEW homegrown, and I like that new submission finisher she's using. I like that a lot. But yeah, honestly, I just don't care for this particular feud. I think it's detrimental to her, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and we didn't see Britt's cohorts this week either.
No, we didn't. That's going to be interesting.
What's going on there? I mean, I realized they had Britt Baker with Adam Cole and the Super Click, but shouldn't they be there too, even though they're not part of the Super Click because they're part of Britt's entourage? Shouldn't they be there because a de facto reason?
Well, They have been showing some tension, so maybe this is going to be part of yet another thing of moving pieces where they're like, "Look, dude, what the heck? You're going over here hanging out with them, and you're not inviting us. Like, what's going on?" And so maybe that's going to be part of that, and they're kind of splitting them up a little bit, and they're going to be teasing that, and they'll have Britt defend against Jamie, and I think that'll be a good match when she does. I think it will be a good match.
Yeah. Or, have Britt defend against Rebel. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have everybody be surprised about, Rebel being the one to turn on DMB. She always looks like she's going to be right there with her, but let's have Rebel be the surprise.
I mean, I'll watch it. I'll be here for it if it happens. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe you could be right. You could be right. Well, with that, as we were just saying, we don't necessarily have the stamina to stay up late for these shows, and sometimes we might fall asleep. And if you fall asleep and you miss something, it's important to know if what you missed was, something you should go back and watch. But maybe you don't have time for it. So, Pacific, if somebody only had time to watch one match this week, tell them, what match should they watch?
Well, Quid Man, if somebody only had time to watch one match, whether it be on YouTube with the highlights or find it through their cable or satellite provider or streaming service, the match I'm going to recommend to them is from last night's episode of Rampage, and that's Trent Beretta versus Adam Cole. It had some false finishes in there, and the two men put on a great match. And considering Trent Beretta has just recently come back from a spinal injury, he looked good in that match. And there were several times where I thought maybe, just maybe, they would have Trent Beretta go over on Adam Cole.
Yeah, it definitely looked that way for a little while. It was a really solid match, and it was my pick as well until later that night. Um, I just love John Silver. I'm a John Silver mark, and anytime I can see him, it's a positive. But yeah, I really love both of these matches. I really loved both of these matches, and honestly, like I'm telling you, I told you in the text, I was like, yeah, at the moment, my pick is Trent Cole too. But and then ultimately, Jurassic Express and Dark Order came out and put on a really great show, I think. And for those reasons, I ended up going with this one. I think this was yet another showcase of how AEW is doing tag teams correctly. I think that's if you had to look at everything AEW is doing right and wrong and tell me what's the thing that they are doing better than anybody else, it's tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
They are doing
They
tag
do
team
have a
wrestling
solid
so
tag team
well.
division.
You could point out flaws, I think, in every other aspect, but the tag team division, I think, is really, 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 really well done. And I give them props on that because a WWE has done tag teams incorrectly for a very long time.
Yeah, too long.
Very long time. I remember is back in the 2010 range where the tag team division was just a joke.
It was a joke because they were just putting singles wrestlers together, saying, "Okay, you're a tag team now. You're a tag team now. Now get out there and do something." That's how it felt.
That's it. That it was just a total joke. There were no real tag teams, and it was not good. It was not good at all. I mean, I think at one point you had John Cena and Shawn Michaels were the Raw Tag Team Champions, and it's like, no, I know it seems like a good idea. Like on paper, you think like, oh, we'll have our World Heavyweight Champion contenders. Our champion and his number one contender be the tag team champions. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way. See, because like the idea of a tag team is that in order to be successful, you're supposed to have synergy. And to say that these two people that really just can't stand each other are able to, just raw overpower this tag team who actually is a functional team. I honestly can't remember who they beat for the titles. But
neither can I.
but it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't like it. So I like that AEW does tag teams correctly.
No, it's not like when WWE put Randy Orton and Edge together for Rated RKO. That
I was
worked
about to
because they
say, now
weren't
that's a
feuding.
different story.
And it wasn't until later when they broke up that they actually began feuding against each other.
Yeah. That's a different story. That actually worked. But then you had teams like
Yeah.
Chris Jericho and The Big Show.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Jericho.
no, that doesn't work for me. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so they do tag teams really well. So for that reason, I love this match. And I love me some Adam Cole. I love me some Adam Cole, baby. But ultimately, I was like, I know he's going with that for his pick. I could easily pick that. Just because there were so many great spots. But I really feel like I want to make my pick emphasize just the fluidity and the punctuality of their tag team action. And that's why I ended up going with this pick.
And I almost changed my pick after I saw that tag match, but I went, nope, I'm sticking with my first choice.
And I'm glad you did, because honestly, I can foresee Adam Cole being the first ever repeat wrestler of the month.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it. We'll find out, because this week he's got a mixed tag match, and sometimes those are known for not being the best quality matches. But we'll just see what else is happening that week, because while it is a mixed tag match, it's Adam Cole and Britt Baker, who are both known for putting on extraordinary matches. So we'll see. One thing
And
I'm
the
really
thing
excited.
is, when the two of them come out, they already have that synergy because of their relationship outside that ring.
Exactly. And one thing I'm really excited about with this is that typically, historically, you've seen WWE do mixed tag matches where one of the two is a liability.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no liability between the two of them. So,
well, even at WWE's Day One, they had Edge and Beth Phoenix go against Maryse and The Miz. Now, I didn't watch any highlights from that, but I'm thinking, okay, so who's copying who here by bringing the couples together?
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It'd be hard to determine that, because AEW has hinted at it, but they hadn't actually done it until recently. So that'd be interesting to see. Well, with that, we've got our rating, we've got our pick of the week. It's time to go back to rating, but a different kind of rating. We're going to talk about the television ratings for this week in AEW. And we're also going to go over Battle of the Belts, which I heard did pretty well. I got to double check it again, but my original thing that I heard was that it did 700,000.
That's not bad for a Saturday, for a 1-hour show.
For a 1-hour show without your world champion, like and again, without the tag champions, which we saw Adam Page and all them, like we saw everybody at the show. We ended up getting 3 hours of wrestling, which was pretty good. We had about an hour of dark before, and then we had the hour of the show, and then I gotta tell you some stuff about the show too.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, did you notice any differences to how AEW does, their tapings compared to WWE?
Yes. Let me just tell you something here before we get into the ratings. So this was my first ever AEW show. I have been to, I can't really remember exactly how many WWE shows, but I've been to more than I could count on one hand, I think. I think I've been to like 6 maybe. This was different. This was so different. Like, first of all, Justin Roberts is the man.
Well, we knew that from his time in WWE.
Well, you knew that, but I'm telling you, you didn't know that. Like, you have to be at an AEW live event to understand the level of energy, hype, and just happiness that radiates from this man. Like, he was the show. He was the ringmaster the whole night. It really felt like he was the leader of the show the whole night. And
He pretty much is if, you know, he has that mic in his hand and, for that whole 3 hour time period in between matches, in between tapings of shows, he's the one out there trying to keep everyone entertained.
but see, WWE doesn't do that, in my experience. WWE is very formal at their tapings. And let me get that.
I will get rid of that.
Thank you.
I got it.
WWE is very formal at their tapings. They're very straightforward, and it's not a lot of like pure, kind-hearted fun. So let me explain to you what happened. So Justin Roberts was just joking around, having a good time. Everybody, Aubrey Edwards was there having a good time. Like, everybody was just having fun. Here's the thing. Everybody was just having fun. Like, you could see it. You could feel it. It was just a good energy radiating from everybody. It was like everybody was there, loving their jobs, happy to be there. Nobody was scared. Nobody was afraid. Everybody was just being themselves and being the best them. And it was just a good time.
So nobody was putting on a front. Nobody was putting on a facade going, oh, everything's okay. Meanwhile, in the back, you're fired.
Yeah, no, it was just such a great feeling, a great energy to be there. And like, there was one point during Battle of the Belts, I forget which commercial break it was, or it was between two of the matches, that Justin Roberts had a rock, paper, scissors championship match with one of the referees. And I mean, it was fantastic, dude. Like, you can't replicate that. Like, it was just so great, and I've never seen them do that. But so they opened the show it was literally like right before the show went on. QT Marshall came out, and he's like complaining about how Hook, he had a neck brace on and everything. He had a neck brace on, and he was complaining and talking about how Tony Khan was a horrible owner. And Tony Khan actually came out. Tony Khan came out and was telling QT, and he was like, it's a real shame that you're in such bad condition, because see, we got new champions here tonight in the tag team division, and I was going to give you and one of your factory guys a match at the tag team titles, where if you win, you'll get a shot at the tag team titles. And now we're in the Bojangles Coliseum, remember that. QT takes off his neck brace and goes, "It's a Bojangles miracle." And that was arguably the moment of the night for me. But and so it was just a great moment. Tony Khan was out there, and he was like, "So you better go get ready for that." And then, like, right before, he was like, he was telling the crowd, like, we're gonna have some eliminator matches. We have all the champions here. All the belts are gonna be, out in the ring. We're gonna have everybody come out and have a match. We've got a lot of great stuff for you, and also send Hook. And like, he was in it. He was so in it. And then Hook, the music played. He walked out. He had like a just like a street outfit on. He walked out, waved to the crowd, and went back. And it was just cool. It was nice.
See, and that's what makes going to a wrestling event fun, is to experience things like that at a taping, or going to a house show and experiencing, maybe not to the same level, but to the same extent, the entertainment value, because that's what it is in the end. It's entertainment.
It is. It really is. But to give you an idea, so this is who I got to see, because it was a taping for AEW Dark. So I got to see Shawn Dean. Now, the names that I'm listing, their enemies were just jobbers. And the first half was really just mostly quick matches. I got to see Shawn Dean. I got to see Anthony Ogogo. I got to see Red Velvet. I got to see the Gun Club. That was actually a pretty cool one, because the Gun Club came out, and the two kids, Colton and Austin, were talking about, like, if any one of you starts saying ass boys, we're leaving.
I watched that. I
Oh, you
watched
saw
it
that.
here on YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah,
you saw that.
yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. So
And
of course we all started chanting ass boys.
yeah.
So you saw the finish to that match then too.
Yeah, yes, I did. And of course, Edwards tried to tell Billy Gunn, "No, stay away. Just
Oh,
stay in
they
your
showed
lane,
that.
Billy."
They showed that
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
Oh,
Stay in your lane.
that was so much fun. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, they were just having pure fun. So that was really cool. Then we got to see Ty J. I can never remember how to pronounce it. It feels like a tongue twister. We got to see Ty J. We got to see Orange Cassidy. Was really cool to see Orange Cassidy. I guess he was against one of the members of the Wingmen. And then at that point, we had the Battle of the Belts card. And then we got to see Aaron Solo versus Dante Martin. It was pretty cool. It was fun. Who Dante, mind you, had a really nice match this week also.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still doing good things. We got to see Joey Janela versus Eddie Kingston. I was really happy to see Eddie Kingston live, and I was really happy to see Joey Janela as well. Somebody who I am aware of, but I've not been able to see much of their stuff. So that was nice. Thunder Rosa versus Jobber. Powerhouse Hobbs came out and just knocked the crap out of a Jobber. That was fun. We got to see Danny Garcia versus Fuego del Sol. We got to see Sky Blue versus Jade Cargill, who, let me just tell you something. Jade was over in Charlotte. Jade was over in Charlotte. Everybody was cheering for her.
Well, why not? She has what it takes to be the top of the women's division. She has shown it. She is working on her craft. She is busting her ass. As I've said before, she is busting her ass. And maybe I'm a mark for Jade Cargill, but I like what I see in the ring.
I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. And it's like I've always said, if you're not there, that's okay. But show me that you care and show me that you're working on it. And as long as you're working on it until you're there, I give you a pass because you are working on it. And it's clear to me that, you know, the audience was a little rough on her at first because she was new. The audience was rough on her at first because they're like, oh, great. Here we go. We're going to have a female Roman Reigns in AEW. They're going to force this. And then they realize, they're like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. She's trying. She knows that she's got work to do. She's doing that work. She's working on it. She cares. This is not just an alternate job for her because she couldn't make it as a model. Like, no, this is what she wants to do. She's happy to be here and she cares. When you show that, the audience will get behind you. They'll support you.
Because the audience is seeing it with her in-ring work, with her promo work. So she's committed. She wants to be a success in the wrestling industry.
Yep. So that was nice to see her get a lot of support from the Charlotte audience. I mean, you would have thought she was a face. Honestly, like, you would have thought that she was a face. She was so over. And then we had The Factory versus Jurassic Express. It was nice to be there for Tarzan Boy playing and to do the hands. That was nice. I was glad. I was really disappointed at first, thinking I wasn't going to get to see that, but I was happy that I did. And then we got the Hardy Family Office, 3 members of the Hardy Family Office versus Hangman Adam Page, and it was, who were the 2 members of the Dark Order? It was Alan Angels and I don't remember the other one. Oh, it was 10. It was Alan Angels and 10. And that was a fun little match, honestly. Like, that was really fun. It was very enjoyable. I had a good time. And it's on AEW Dark, so you can watch it on YouTube if you want. I wouldn't say it's a must watch, but I would say that if you had spare time to watch it, it would be a fun thing to watch. I would recommend it. It was a good time. So yeah, it was a good time all around, 3 hours of wrestling and a lot of really good things. And I just need to say one thing. And I'm glad that we're not PG anymore so that I could say this. But there is nothing in this world that will tickle your asshole quite like Dante Martin's entrance music. That's all I have to say.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll take your word for it.
That's all. One day you'll know. One day you'll know that when you're sitting. Maybe it's just the Bojangles Coliseum, but I'm here to tell you. When I was sitting in that seat, and his music kicked in, his music had more bass than any other music. And I mean, it shook the whole arena and it shook the seats. And I'm telling you, dude, the bass in that theme music will tickle your asshole. And they call it whoever called it the unscratchable itch has clearly never seen Dante Martin live. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, folks, you've heard it from Quinn Van Jenkins. It'll tickle your asshole. I can't even believe I'm saying that.
It will. It'll tickle your asshole right there. I'm telling you. I looked over at my friend and I was like, "Whoo, boy, that'll tickle your asshole. That's for sure." And I'm just saying. Like I said, I'm glad we're not PG anymore because I really feel like the world needs to know that because I feel like there's all these people with these itchy assholes that have never seen Dante Martin live.
TMI.
And, I'm just here to tell you, folks.
TMI.
I'm here to tell you there is a resolution out there, and it is called AEW Live and Dante Martin. That's what it is.
Oh God.
The Top Flight theme song, live and in person, will solve your problems. It'll turn your whole life around.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, you'll find out one day.
Yeah. Well, one day, yourself, Phoenix, and I, we all need to get together and take it in a wrestling event.
Yes, we definitely do. We definitely do.
It's been too damn long.
I agree. I totally agree. All right, so let's see. Okay, so it looks like the Dynamite ratings are down just a little bit. So the show average, which is fine because they did really well the week before. Yep. The show averaged 969,000 viewers. I'm cool with that. That's close to 1 million. If you're rounding up, that is 1 million. It drew a 3.9 rating in the demo. Let's see here. So it's only down 4.1%. Let's be realistic here. Let's see.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And then in the 18 to 49 demo, it drew a 0.39. Sorry. So it matched the number drew by Raw, which is interesting to know. However, Raw also competes with Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
So I will give him that credit. But still very good. Dynamite finished third overall on cable for the night. Show was down 9.3% from last week. I'm guessing that's in the demo. Still the second highest rating in the demo since October. And it's for what it's worth, Raw did have slightly more viewers than Dynamite in the demo. 507 to 505, but that's essentially a statistical tie. So that's pretty good to know. Mm-hmm. And then let me look up Battle of the Belts because obviously we don't have Rampage ratings in yet.
No.
And I really don't feel like Rampage ratings matter as much unless it's like a special number because most of the time it's just going to be a lower number.
Well, the only time they're really going to matter, in my opinion, is when AEW has that chance to go against SmackDown successfully.
I agree. All right, so we got final battle ratings for Battle of the Belts. And let's see here. So it did average, I was correct, it averaged 704,000 viewers. And in the key demo, it had a 0.27. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good for, like you said, a 1-hour show where you already had all your biggest matches. No offense to Britt Baker. But you already had all your biggest matches in your tag team title match and your world title match. And you just kind of had a thrown together card. You had a back out in the form of Cody Rhodes. A 1-hour show on a night that you don't normally broadcast on. I'd call 700K a success.
Yeah. But again, I would have loved to have seen Dustin get the title.
I agree. I think the smart thing would have been for ratings is to have the plan B for him to win the title and purposefully leak that he was rumored to win the title because I think you would have gotten people to tune in for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll be honest. I expected this show to do worse than that. I expected 500K tops.
Yeah, because even when Rampage aired on a Saturday, Dynamite aired on a Saturday, it wasn't a ratings juggernaut.
No, but it was on a holiday too, though, so they did have
Yeah.
that. But yeah, even still, I thought 500K was going to be the max that they saw for this. So I'm very glad to see that it did 700. I think that's a reasonable number. That's a good number. So if I was Tony, I'd be happy with that. I'd take my bone and run.
I would.
Well,
It's something to build upon.
it is. It absolutely is. And it goes to show that you can do some Saturday night specials. And maybe in the future, if you have an even bigger card, you could do 1 million, because it's not undoable. You're only 300K shy, and you didn't have your world title or your tag titles on the line.
Yeah.
And you didn't have your real TNT champion defending the belt either. So,
It tells you the strides that AEW is making, where people are still willing to tune in to this show that could potentially be called the B show or a C show compared to Dynamite and Rampage.
I agree. Well, speaking of the world title, let's talk about our main event, which is this week focused on AEW's main event. Lance Archer makes his shocking return to assert his challenge for the AEW world title. I love this.
I want to see where this goes. I want to see, how far it goes, how long this feud lasts, and what the end result is.
I agree. I think that the potential is definitely there. Lance is a monster. I'm a Lance fan. I'll be honest with you. I've said for months now, since we started this show, that they needed to just go ahead and put this man in line for a world title shot, because he's just got that feel to him that any given day he could challenge and be successful and just wreck shop. So I'm very happy to see him getting this shot finally. I think it's long overdue, and I can't say it enough. I'm just glad to see it finally happen. So I'm really excited about it. I'm a Lance fan, and I think this was a good way to do it too. When they first had what's his name? What's the annoying guy's name? Lambert.
It's
Lambert.
Yeah, Adam Lambert.
No, Dan Lambert. Not the singer.
Whatever.
Not the singer.
Whatever. Both of them are annoying.
Yeah, well, you got that right. When they first had him come to the ramp and start talking, I was like, what are they doing? Where are they going with this? And I was really scared. Because I was thinking, oh no, they're gonna have Junior Dos Santos challenge for the world title. And I was like, no, AEW, don't you dare do that. Don't do that. You're supposed to be better. Don't do that. But they didn't. I was very surprised. I was pleasantly surprised.
Thankfully for us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And for AEW, that would have been a horrible rating straw. But here's what I would really like to see from this. I would like to see this. It started this week. When is Revolution? I forget. Have they announced the date for it?
I haven't heard anything. Let me look it up real quick.
Revolution 2022. March 6th. March 6th.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a good ways. Here's my challenge to AEW. Make it last. Do not, between now and March 6th, you do not let Lance Archer lose a match. Unless it's by DQ, count out, something like that. He does not lose a match by roll up. He does not lose a match by pinfall, and he does not lose a match by submission. And more importantly, he does not challenge Adam Page for the world title until March. Or if he does, again, You have him lose by disqualification, or something crazy happens. But you do not let this man challenge and lose clean for the world title between now and March.
Oh,
That's my challenge.
I'm sorry for
No, you're good.
coughing,
You're good.
but you don't have it happen because it's going to hurt any kind of momentum you can build for this feud. You want him to go in there as a believable contender for the title, as someone who's believable inside that ring that can take that title from Hangman Adam Page.
Mm-hmm. And I love that they had him, come in and actually get the move in on Adam Page. I love that they had him do it on the chair. Everything. It was great because you're establishing, like, hey, this man can hurt Adam Page. This man is a threat. This man is a contender. That is what you need to do. I don't think they ever really did, and I'm trying to remember, my memory is not what it used to be, but I don't think they ever really had Bryan Danielson get one over on Adam Page outside of the ring. I don't think they did. So it was like, on one hand, they didn't really need to be honest with you, because his record spoke for itself. But with Lance Archer, his record does not speak for itself. And you need to remind people, because he's been gone. And even before he was gone, he hadn't really been doing monster stuff for a minute. So you needed to remind people that this dude is here and he means business and he can hurt and beat Hangman Adam Page. You need to make sure people know that, because otherwise there's no build. But yeah, I say you take this thing, you run with it, you make it last. This is a world title feud. We're midway through January. All you have to do is make it last 2 months. That's it.
Can they do it though? We've seen them drop the ball so many times on feuds.
No, they won't do it. They won't do it. They'll have a special. This will probably be, honestly, and this is a realistic expectation. They'll probably do this at Battle of the Beach or Beach Break or whatever it is that they call it. Which is, can I just go off on that for a second?
Bash at the Beach. That's what it reminds me of. Bash at the Beach.
I don't care about that. Like, if you want to have a beach name pay-per-view, like, that's cool. I get it. You're trying to pay homage to the old, WCW names. But first of all, you're having Beach Break in January. Second of all, it's in Cleveland. What?
Don't get me started on that.
What? Beach Break should be held in the summer at Florida or California. Like, somewhere that's known for its beaches.
Or down in Mexico.
Yeah, or that, yeah, like, literally just somewhere that you would think, I'm going to go to a beach and this is where I'm going. Obviously I'd list our hometown, but we don't have any venues for it. But
no, we don't.
That's a problem. They need to get something going for that. That would drive a lot of business.
Yeah, but as you know, it's a 2-hour drive or more to get to any venue where we can actually watch wrestling or football or baseball or any of the premier leagues.
Yep. I'm just saying, a nice performance venue, nothing massive, like the Bojangles Coliseum size would be perfect, and it's not that big. But they need something like that. Would be really, really great, and it would drive a lot of business. It would give the locals something to do. I think it would do well. But anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not going to. I know they won't, but I'm going to challenge them anyway to make this last until March. I'm just going to say it right now, though. I got 5 on it. Come Revolution, we will not be seeing Hangman Adam Page versus Lance Archer, and that, to me, is a problem. Let me specify.
Well, that's a problem for Tony Khan and the brass at AEW to figure out. It's up to us at home to be, enticed enough to continue to watch, because at any point we could say to each other, "Did you watch this week's show? No. Did you? No."
Yeah. I'm going to double down on that. I got 5 on it that we won't see Hangman Adam Page versus Lance Archer. Wait, hold on. I need to rethink that because I had it in my head. I got it. I got 5 on it
Okay.
that we won't see Hangman Adam Page versus Lance Archer 2. I got 5 on it that they'll be completely done with it then. That we won't even be
I can
getting
see that happening.
that we won't even be getting a second match at Revolution. And I got 10 on it that we won't be getting it at all at
Yeah,
Revolution.
I can see that based on AEW's track record with stories. I can see that.
Yep. It's unfortunate, but I could definitely see it being a thing. But come Revolution time, Adam Page will already have a whole new opponent.
Mm-hmm.
A whole new opponent. But, well, with that, we are now at our time, and I need to go make some lunch. So, I want to, as always, say thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for listening and watching and everything and all those wonderful things. It's a pleasure as always. I look forward to next week. We should have some hopefully good things to talk about with the continuation of the feud between the Young Bucks and Red Dragon and Adam Cole's involvement with that, and where Britt Baker's going to fall into that, how she's going to play at Impact. So hoping to see some more news on that front and see where we can go with that. And make sure, as always, go ahead.
Let's see what Jamie Hayter and Rebel do.
Yeah, see what they think about it.
Are they going to show up?
It's a possibility. Well, make sure, as always, you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Quidman Jenkins, my partner, at Pacific414. And also follow him on YouTube. I was going to make, we already talked about it in the show, but, follow him on YouTube, Pacific414. He's doing his pop talk, doing all his amazing reviews. He's got a brand new review of Peacemaker. So if you're like me and you don't really have the time to devote to it and you just kind of want to know about it first, you can give that a check out and see what he's got to say about that.
And that's the thing with my Peacemaker review, with my Boba Fett reviews, they're actually quick takes. I'm giving you the straightforward answer there. I'm not doing your normal episode review where I go into detail of what happened in the episode. In quick takes, I'm just getting straight to the point, letting you know, watch it, don't watch it, or if it sucks.
That's fair. That's very fair. Well, I again definitely check it out. I'm gonna be checking it out here soon just to see the Peacemaker. I haven't watched maybe even Boba Fett. I haven't watched that yet either, just because I've heard so many bad things. I'm scared.
Go Power Rangers. That's what I was thinking this weekend. And also somebody mentioned Voltron.
Yeah, I saw the picture of the scooters. That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
But well, with that, folks, we hope to see you back next week, and can't wait to talk to you about all the wonderful things that come out of this week in AEW, and have a great one.